If you search around on YouTube long enough, you'll see a lot of questions like, what is the best antenna for parks on the air? Or what is the best antenna for summits on the air? Well, to be honest with you, the answer is, well, whatever antenna you have or whatever antenna you can afford. Well, the guys over at Coffee and Ham Radios decided to put a kit together. It's a 49-to-1 transformer giving you an end-fed half-wave dipole that's both affordable and easy to assemble, even for me, as a new ham. Well, relatively new ham. I've never put kits together. I've never built antennas except for the ones you've seen on the channel so far. But today, I've got the Artemis. The Artemis is the end-fed half-wave from the guys over at Coffee and Ham Radios, and we're going to build one today on this side of the radio. Come on, check it out. All right, guys, welcome to my workbench, also known as a dining room table. And today we're going to be building the Artemis, which is the end-fed half-wave antenna by the guys over at Coffee and Ham Radios. You can see them every Saturday and Sunday morning. I believe it's 9 a.m. Central. I'll put a link to their channel down in the description here. Great group of guys. Also, the Toads Discord. I'll put a link to that down there as well. So, here is the kit. You've got 90 feet of wire, which is going to be both the counterpoise and the radiating element. We've got some shrink wrap. We have this really cool wire winder slash former slash everything on this antenna is going to fit right here. So that when you're done and you take this out into the field, this is all you have to worry about. I like this. I don't know what this is. I think it's a nylon type material, but really cool. I mean, it feels really strong. I like it. Okay, rest in the kit, you will get a toroid, and I believe this is a 140 mix 43. And then we've got some zip ties. We have a BNC connector. We have a capacitor, and we have 4 ring terminals and 2 screws. For the start of this, we've got our enamel coated magnet wire, and I've already measured back 8 inches, and this is going to be the our primary here. So measure back 8 inches, and I'm gonna put a twist in this right here. Okay, so we've measured 8 inches and folded that back, and we're just going to take and hold the center of this loop and just start putting some twists. Now, according to the instructions, it says don't stress about how many twists or anything like that, but it just says that we have to have some twists in it. So I'm going to twist this out. To about right there. Now this is going to go, when you mount this on the board, this is going to go to your BNC connector, and this will go down to your ground as well as your counterpoise. So I like leaving a little bit of extra there. Okay, so according to the instructions, we are going to insert the twisted end into the toroid. You may want some safety glasses. This wire out here is a little crazy. And see, the instructions say fold over at least 8 inches of the magnet wire and twist. Don't worry, don't stress about the twist, just have some twist in it. Insert the twisted end into the core all the way to the end of the twist. So we've got this here, and make 2 wraps to the right or counterclockwise. So we'll go, this will be 1. And you want to keep these as tight as you can against that core. So there is 1. Bend that. And that makes 2. Okay, all right, so it took some finagling here, but so we have two primary turns. This is going to hook up to our BNC, and this will be our ground and our counterpoise. So we need to do 5 more turns to give us a total of 7. So we'll go, so that's 2. This will be number 3. And 7. This gets much easier. The further you get into winding this thing, the easier it gets to work with this wire. The twisted primaries down here, man, there's something else. And it really doesn't matter on the spacing. You don't have to you know, freak out about that or anything like that. I'm OCD, so I like to keep things as tightly as possible. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8's come through. And that's when we're going to do our crossover. So you're just going to bring it directly across like this. That's going to be 8. And then we're just going to start on this side. 9. 10. 14. The last one, 14. And just because my OCD, I'm going to straighten these up just a little bit. Like I said, in the instructions it says not to worry about spacing or anything like that. The most important part is getting the correct amount of turns through the toroid. So looking at it now, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, on to step number 2. It's time to put some hardware on this thing. So this nylon is designed to it'll hold these screws in place while you're putting everything together. So we're going to do, according to the instructions here, it says that this is going to be the hole for our antenna element. So let's just do this. And don't go crazy, because this stuff does not look like it would hold threads very well. So you don't have to go crazy when you torque these things down and think you have to get a torque wrench or an impact wrench or, you know, any of that kind of cool stuff. It's just a screwdriver. I know that may be a little boring to some of you guys, but yeah, just a screwdriver works great. And I'm really digging the material that this is made out of. This is really cool. All right, so we have this screw in place, which is right off from the ends here. This is going to be where our element goes. And then down here, this is where our counterpoise wire is going to go. So let me grab the second one and do the same with it. All right, there you go. And now we'll put a wing nut up here. And a wing nut down here. All right, so now it's time to install the BNC connector. So you'll want to remove all the hardware here. So you'll have a ground terminal, which is going to need to make sure it's facing over to this side when it's on there. Make sure it's facing over towards where your ground counterpoise is going to go. And if you need to, you can grab a piece of coax or grab a connector so that you can hold on to this. I'm going to try it without. And I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me get up close. But there's actually a little cup right there. And you want to make sure that that is facing up so that whenever you put this wire in, it'll have a place to sit. And this wire will actually slide in down inside that connector, and it makes it so much easier whenever you're soldering this together. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we have the cup facing up right there. We're gonna do a lock washer. We're gonna do our ground. And then nut. And that's the Formula 500 that I have outside my window. Once again, just double check, make sure you're keeping the orientation right. You want the ground to be up here, and you want the cup for that, the center pin for this BNC to be right there. Grab a set of needle nose pliers. Just snug it up. You don't have to get crazy with it. But don't put any force back here because you will deform that BNC connector. Yeah. While we have this disconnected, let's take a razor blade up. And if I cut myself, y'all pray for me. What you want to do is take some sort of sharp device and you want to scrape the enamel off of this wire because you're going to solder onto that. So anytime you solder onto this enameled wire, make sure you take something sharp and just get all this coating off of here. That way you'll have a good electrical connection to it. So now that we got the enamel scraped off that, hopefully you guys can see that. Let's mount this puppy. So you want the center of the toroid to be here, and then you're going to use 2 of the zip ties to hold this in place. So you want to make sure that the antenna wire and all of this the antenna wire needs to be coming out the bottom of this where it sits, because it's going to sit something similar to this, and then you're going to connect this to this pin. This is going to go to the center, and then your ground lug is going to go over there. So let's stick this in. Oh wow, it actually fits in there pretty snug. So again, we're going to go down through the center and up through the side. And we're going to shrink wrap this down a little bit. So I'm going to make sure that my end is kind of down in this area so that when I shrink wrap on it, it won't poke through. So and I don't want to go too tight just yet because I do have another one to put in there. But that looks pretty good right there. And the other one, we're going to go down to the center. And then we're going to come up through this side one here. So I'm looking down in here. I don't know if you can see that. But I'm just going to snip one of these wires. Right there. And then I'm going to snip the loop down at the bottom. All right. So I'm going to take this wire out. So that's going to leave us with a counterpoise and a ground. So we're going to have to make another solder connection here. So let's grab our knife here. Try not to cut a finger off. And what I'm going to do is take this ground lug here and actually stick it through there. So now we know we're going to have a good connection. I don't know if that's a better angle. You can see across there. I just stuck this through there, and then this will come on down to make our ground connection. All right, so now we need to solder, or we need to crimp on a couple of these ring terminals to go here and to go here. As they always say, measure twice, cut once. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of extra on here just because I'm paranoid like that. So we know, gonna go about right there. Get our handy dandy crimpers. All right. Now y'all don't laugh at my soldering job. I'm new to this. Let's see here. I think it looks good. While that's cooling off, let's do another one down here. Or as Ape likes to say, a good smash. Not bad for an amateur. All right. So now we need to put some solder here and some solder there for this connection. So let's do that. I'm going to put a little extra on here because I know we're going to have to put a capacitor there. All right, there we go. And as CaHRtenna told me, you should always leave some solder on the end of your soldering iron. All right, let's see where we're at here. Do I get your thumbs up of approval? I like that. See where you guys can see it. Not the best, not the worst. All right. So the capacitor, this little guy, so you want to connect one leg of this to the ground and one leg to the center like so. All right, there's one leg. There we go. All right. So I'm going to take my cutters here, trim these legs off. I think this gets the this side of the radio sticker. What do you think? So there you go. Just show a close up of that. Just put some extra solder, and it's not the prettiest in the world, but I think it's going to work. But one leg goes over to the ground and the other to the center post. Cut them off flush. And there you have it. A 49-to-1 InFET half wave. The only thing we have left to do now is install a wire here and get it out, test it, and tune it. Thanks for joining me today on this side of the radio. I hope you enjoyed that. This is part one of a two-part series for this antenna. Part two will be whenever the winds in Texas decide to die down a bit, and we can take this antenna out in the field, get it tuned up, and show you just how resonant this antenna is on the bands that it is cut for. Be sure and like, comment, subscribe. As always, I appreciate that. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss part two, and we will see you next time. 73.